Star Citizen has always had some pretty impressive atmospheric moments, whether you're cruising through the awe-inspiring volumetric clouds or experiencing an unnecessarily spooky, foggy night on the ground while just minding your own business. However, aside from freezing your armored codpiece off in a random snowstorm on Microtech, most of the weather has been pretty static across these vast worlds. At least that was the case until Star Citizen Alpha 4.2. Now, instead of every orbital body having static atmospheres hanging up like ornaments above or below you, several planets have received dynamic clouds swirling around across the entire sky. And if you want to see more of this cool time-lapse from someone who had way more patience than me, you can check out this guy's video linked below. But this is more than just a bunch of fluffy skyballs blowing around. We now have systems randomly moving in with dynamic rainstorms for you to enjoy. Whether you're throwing on your leather jacket for a cyberpunk synthwave music video on ArcCorp or wiping a spritz of chemical runoff and urine from your face while taking in the disgusting sights of Loreville, you'll finally be able to pretend to be a storm chaser tracking down cold fronts and parsing satellite data. But if you want a 100% chance of precipitation, there's one place you can go to dive into the perpetually dark chaos of the storm, and that's on Pyro 1 in the first iteration of Exploration gameplay with the non-event event, Stormbreaker. While most of this deep blue planet of Beetlejuice sculptures has regular old clouds and raindrops, the area around these facilities swirls with a constant vortex of thunderbolts and lightning, and it's so very frightening that flying anywhere near will shut down your ship and leave you ass up in the middle of nowhere. But what you can do is land at one of these perpetually hostile locations surrounding that deadly zone and casually murder your way over to the shuttle station. Here you can take a protected journey through the maelstrom and gently cruise into the shit show of rain, lightning, temperatures that should make rain completely impossible, and horrible DNA-shredding death from radiation just for good measure. Yet if you can make your way into this facility resting in a violent slurry of instant death, you can blast your way through a bunch of guards to discover the emergent gameplay story of weird experiments and the key to unlocking the newest event, one that CIG decided would make up the cornerstone of all gameplay progress in this update, a giant radioactive worm. While the Valakar have already made their debut in the last event of convoluted PvP chaos funneling into the Wicklow mechanics, this time they've returned 30 times taller and spitting out gobs of radioactive goop, all ready and waiting to funnel you right back into that fun janky favor farming for Wicklow with worm teeth and pearls. It's now such an integral part of the game that some new content is exclusively available from this horn-headed hero, like the all-new Argo Atlas Itki. This takes the power loader design that we've seen from the near-essential cargo catapulting Atlas and adds a couple of guns so that you can use it to shoot things that are near you on the ground, that don't decide to just walk away 5 times faster than you can hobble. But I haven't been able to actually try one yet, so here's hoping that one day we'll be able to obtain one with the UEC resources we get for literally every other task that we complete within the game. However, the 4.2.1 update brought with it a few more of those classic UEC rewarding tasks for you to take on with a brand new limited time event, Race for Stanton. In the ongoing blank-to-blank naming convention after Supply or Die, Align in Mind, and Fight for Pyro, this iteration finally takes the challenging step of mostly existing without a PvP element. Instead, it provides a unique opportunity to give players a variety of potentially non-violent ways to use all of the non-combat ships they've been sold over the years. The goal is to collect as many resources as possible for one of the big 4 corporate entities, creating mountains of imaginary competition between these companies we occasionally acknowledge outside of their planetary names. As you take on tasks like flying to surface bases on moons to squeeze between 40 other ships and get in line for the one working cargo elevator to collect boxes, or mining your own resources to haul back to the headquarters, you'll slowly add to the totals for your chosen corporate overlord in the least violent way possible. But you can also grab missions to kick at least a small amount of ass in the familiar defend this particular ship sitting here doing nothing events. Or even missions where you'll fend off a bunch of enemies to be able to either unload the cargo from or jump into and fly a busted ass ship in order to limp it back home to collect the resources it held. Whatever your course of action to gain those boxes, your role as a lifeless business-loving gopher will be rewarded with more than simply just money. At each of 4 tiers, you'll gain permanent rewards like this snappy jumpsuit and multi-tool, as well as color-coordinated skins for a specific lineup of ships. So pick your favorite color and pretend that you care about a corporation. Or if you don't have any allegiances to these imaginary entities and don't value your free time at all, do all 4 chains and get it all. And if you're looking for some new ships to use in these events, CIG is definitely ready to sell you some. First up, in the world of cargo, the only thing more important than getting your load of junk from A to B is getting there without anyone knowing that you got there, and that's why you'll need to get the Aspera Prowler utility. If you are a fan of the aggressively priced alien tax dropship, the Aspera Prowler, with its ability to carry a small number of people to a potentially future set of content where you need to do that, now you can try the utility that doesn't do any of that at all. This awkward-looking shrimp-bodied bird-wing monstrosity has had most of its drop seats ripped out and replaced with an upside-down cargo grid that folds out with elaborate majesty. From here, you'll be able to pop an astounding 32 SCU of cargo onto these two platforms, putting to shame the meager 24 you'd be able to fit on a Nomad, and it only costs 4 times the price. But with that hefty investment, you also gain some amount of stealth, allowing you to potentially get to and from your destination without getting ganked by the roaming murder hobos that have made a hobby out of being a piece of shit. But you'll also have 2 size 4 guns and a turret with a couple of size 3s available to fend off the smaller pieces of shit that manage to detect your gigantic stealthy bird crustacean carrying a small bedroom worth of containers. And you won't have to worry about getting tired of this ship because the Tavaran design full of random struts and empty floor space has no room for you to sleep. However, if there is one type of ship that definitely needs a comfy place for you to rest, it's the high-octane G-Force pushing combat fighter, the all-new RSI Meteor. In the latest non-variant variant to hit the scene, the fully revamped RSI Mantis has had its quantum dampener kicked to the curb, and in its place 1,000 guns have been strapped to the front. These include 4 size 3s as well as 2 size 5s, making even heavy fighters look like they have just as little of an idea what these fighter sizes mean as CIG does. But one thing to note about this heavy armament is that the size 5s are bespoke, meaning they're custom for this ship and can't be removed and replaced. Which also means you'll get to enjoy 2 guns that fire some of the slowest shots in the game paired with laser cannons moving more than twice as fast. But you can always replace those lasers with more cannons to have an all-cannon build that you can use in dogfights to take the quickest shortcut to becoming just like a real meteor, a flaming ball of fire streaking through the atmosphere and slamming into the ground. Yet while your shots are slow, your ship can move pretty fast, and that's only the beginning of the delightful features that make this overpriced option feel like it's almost worth half of what it costs. From the tiny elevator underneath that I found can just barely fit a 1 SCU box through, you'll emerge into an open floor plan of this fighter interior. On your right, you'll find the regular soft-served ice cream nozzles and various component doors, and on the left, a showerless shitter ready to give you the coziest bowel movements RSI can provide. Comfortably close to the toilet is your sleeping pod as well as access to your ship inventory. And after some dedicated investigation, you can also find the conveniently placed button to raise a floor box perfect for storing your weapons and also accessing your ship inventory again. And in the front, you'll be able to rest your cheeks on your cockpit chair and take in the sights from your massive window, giving you the perfect view of those classic RSI struts right in the center of your face. However, that's pretty much everything CIG has brought to the table since my last Star Citizen update 2 months ago. But if you'd like to see that or any of my other almost informative Star Citizen videos, like this video and check them out right here. And if you'd like to try Star Citizen, where you might meet people like Mega Supporter Adam Mutke, make sure to click the link below and use my referral code so you'll get the actually useful extra 50,000 UEC in the new referral system, up from the completely pointless 5,000 they gave you before.